Hello everyone, welcome back to Nimsite. Today, as part of both Australia and career series, I'm going to do a video about how I got my first IT job in Australia. Like, it was my first full-time job in Australia, how I landed that job, like how the interview process was, what were the different rounds that were there in my interview, how I did my job search, how I tried to extend the skills that I had into the position that I was looking for. So if you find this video helpful, make sure to subscribe as well. So moving on to that part. The first part of the video is how you go about with your job search. Now, the number one point is write down your skills, like the skills that you're really good at, skills that need some polishing, the skills that you think could be transferable. Write them down. This will also help you when you're forming your CV and cover letter while submitting your applications. So that's the number one point. Number two is research what's hot in the market. So this is really important, and that's something that I did. So back in India, I was working in a language called C. Now, I saw a whole lot of job listings around different kinds of positions that, slightly aligned with what I am doing. I looked at various Australian job portals. I'll place some screenshots here. You can check out some of these jobs. The one thing that I saw is that the language that I was using in my company, it was called C. There were hardly any job ads that listed C as a requirement. So I understood at that stage itself that this alone won't do. I need to expand my skill set. I need to acquire more skills, or I need to identify which are some of the skills that could be transferable to the job ads that were listed in those portals. So one example I would like to give is that now I was working around a tool called Jenkins. Now these job ads had a similar tool, which was used for achieving the same thing, like the purpose was same, but it was a different tool. So I saw that many job ads listed that as a requirement. So I understood that this is one position that I can apply in. So that was a DevOps engineer position, and I saw what all are other skills that DevOps engineer sort of needs. And one of the things that I saw was AWS certifications. So I decided that I should get myself certified in any cloud provider. I started with AWS. I got myself certified to get that extra confidence. I did few projects also in that, because doing certifications alone is not enough. So, and then when I satisfied about 50% of the skills that were listed across many job ads, I became more confident to, apply for entry-level DevOps engineer positions or mid-level DevOps engineer positions. So that's how you need to do your job search as well. You need to find out what's more popular in the type of job that you're applying for. And the final thing is work on your CV and cover letter. I have made videos on both these topics. The links will be available in the description. Now we are going to the main part of the video, my whole interview experience and how I landed my job. So I was applying through the job portal, I was applying through LinkedIn, I was applying through, to multiple companies after tailoring my resume and cover letter, of course. So once when I was doing that, in one of the meetup groups in the message chats, I saw that a person had posted a message about a job opening in their company. Now I went through the job description. I did not satisfy most of the requirements. In fact, I satisfied only about 50% of the requirements. But I thought, why not give it a try? I can go ahead. The least outcome would be I would get rejected, but I would learn something out of it. So I sent a message to this person that I was interested in this position. Now, I was pretty active in LinkedIn during that time. I was, doing a lot of posts, making a lot of articles, everything that I was writing there. And I was attending different meetup groups as well, meetups, and talking to a whole lot of people. So this person was, like that quality of mine, and she said, why not? I can definitely refer you for this particular position. And I'm still grateful that she did. And once she did, I got a referral link, and through that referral link I applied for that particular position. That same job ad, you get it via a referral link. So for other people who are applying it directly, I apply to this particular referral link, so the recruiter knows that an internal employee has referred me. Once I did that, I got a call from the recruiter just about a week after, and the recruiter asked me some basic questions. I'm just, I have the questions listed here so that it's easier for me to recite. Questions like about myself, my intro, why I'm looking at this particular position, why this particular job, what was my salary expectation like. So I would say this is not a round as such, you're not marked for this round, but it's good to be prepared. Never underestimate yourself. Research what kind of salaries exist for this particular position in these job portals, and have something in your mind to speak when you are actually talking to the recruiter. And the next round was discussion with the hiring manager or principal engineer. Now, I had prepared, I'll tell you how I had prepared for this round. I was told that this round was about checking your personality, aptitude, and experience. So I did some work on questions like what value I can bring to the organization, how I can solve the problems and break it down. I did some practice on explaining any short time goal, etc. The kind of questions that I was asked is, what do you like about the company? Why do you want to join the company? What are you looking for in your next job? So since I applied for a DevOps engineer position, so what does DevOps mean to you? What is the thing that you liked and disliked in your previous work? What are some of the tools that you learned in the past few months and you really liked? What are some of the IT software engineering principles that you have learned, etc. So these kind of questions. Now there were many different questions. I'm giving you just some examples on how these rounds can look like. And once this round was done, and once I answered all of these questions, the next round was about, the key takeaway from the round 2 is that research about the company before this round happens. LinkedIn, there is an about section about almost all of the companies. Research about the company that you're interviewing for. And the next round was, since this was a IT related job, this was a coding related job, there was a code challenge. It was about Dockerizing and containerizing a whole application that was already there and automating that whole particular infrastructure. So this was, and I think these questions are very common for DevOps engineer positions, and people who do relate, they can understand. So these kind of questions, it was a take-home challenge. Like my rounds and everything were conducted on Zoom. So it was a take-home challenge. I was given about 2-3 days to come back after solving that. So I solved that. I submitted them. Now, whenever you're given a take-home challenge, now especially if you're applying for a IT job or any job where you have to demonstrate some kind of project, it could be a business analyst, it could be a system analyst, it could be any sort of other positions as well. Ensure that you're maintaining proper standards. Like, it should not be about submitting your work, right? You got the output, you got what was asked, and you submitted. It shouldn't be like that. Like, for example, there is a README that is usually part of almost all of the IT projects, where you list down like how are the instructions for running that particular project, or what do the different directories do, or something explaining what is there in the project, how is the project used, etc. So this goes for almost all of the projects. Ensure that your project that you're submitting, or the work or any challenge that you're submitting, is of good standard. You'll definitely get extra points for that. Like, one more example I'll give, like ensuring that your application is properly tested, like you have some test cases and everything written. So this can fetch you extra marks and you will definitely get noticed. Now, the next round was technical and a behavioral interview combination. Now, I had submitted my project, so I was asked questions on how that project worked to ensure what is actually happening in that project, what all I did in that project, what all were some of the challenges that I faced in that project. Then I was asked some questions as well, like technical questions related to the position that I was applying for, and how some things work under the hood, etc. So those kind of questions. And then I will briefly tell you about some of the behavioral questions that I was asked. Now, this particular section is relevant to, I think, all of the professions that are out there. I used the PAR approach for answering these questions. Like, I talked about the problem, action, and what was the result. Like, what was the problem that I faced in that situation, what was the action that I took, and what is the result, or what did I learn from it. So this approach can help you in answering all of these questions. Tell us about a difficult situation you faced with your stakeholder or customer. Tell us about a stressful situation you faced at work. What is your approach when you learn something new or a new technology? So I'll just go through how I would go about answering this question. Like, whenever I learn a new technology, I would first try to identify what that technology is for, like what is the problem that it solves, how is it different from the other alternatives that are available in the market, or how does it extend or expand anything that's already there. Once I know all of that, my action would be, I'll break it down into different parts. I'll start from the basic part of it, and then I'll go on to the next part. Then I'll do some hands-on on the basic part that I have learned. I'll try to, do some project, to do some small amount of work on my own to get that particular output. And once I have done that, this would actually teach me on how I can solve problems at work as well. When I'm confronted with any kind of difficult situation and I have to deliver quick solutions, this can be handy. So something like this, where you frame your answer in the way that first problem comes, then action, then result. Now, so other questions could look like, tell us about a situation when you face problems because of a difficult colleague. If you don't have, any experience that you are remembering at that moment, I won't say you can make it up, but you can sort of relate with some other sort of experience. It doesn't have to be direct answer to that particular question. You can say that it was not a difficult colleague, but it was sort of a difficult work or a task that I was assigned, something like that. And one question that could be asked now because of this whole pandemic and virtual work and work from home is that any challenges you will face because of the remote setup. And then after this, I was given a chance to ask questions. So when they ask you that, do you have any questions, never say no. You always have questions. Even if you're repeating questions in any of the other rounds as well, you still ask them. So I asked questions like what they like the most about working here. Are there any plans of moving back to the office? How does this company promote any sort of other certifications or anything that I want to do in the future? And questions like this could actually help you in forming an impression as well. After this round, I had it's called a psychometric test, where they ask you different sort of questions to analyze you, what are your strengths and weaknesses. It's called the Clifton Strengths. So they ask you a whole lot of questions. Do you enjoy teamwork, or do you enjoy working on your own? Questions like these. So that was a pretty basic test. It was a MCQ sort of test that followed after this. And after this, I finally got a call about 2 to 3 weeks after that I had qualified, I had cleared all the rounds, and I had secured myself a job. I know that was the best feeling for me, because moving to a new country and securing myself a job, it meant a lot to me. And I'm still grateful for everyone who was there during this whole part, my company, all the people I met via LinkedIn, all the people who helped me in searching for a job, etc. So I hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. If there are any questions that you have, you can put it down in the comments as well. Thank you.
Content shared in this video is based on personal experience and research. If you enjoyed the video, like, share and subscribe. Keep watching, keep listening and continue learning.